Okay, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to this GeoGebra class. So in this class, we'll be looking at how to construct right angle triangles and also how to prove for the Pythagoras theorem. That's what I'll be doing first. So first, construction of right angle triangles, and also show for the construct isosceles triangle, proof for the Pythagoras theorem. Then we'll continue from there. So first, what we have to do is to get a circle. But before a circle, we have to input our point. So first, I input the point 10. I input the point 10 and 10 and 4. The point I input 10 and 4. The first point. Well, first, a minute, let me increase the font size a little bit. Yes, this is okay. So, our circle is 10 and 4. Sorry, our point is 10 and 4. You put another point which will give us, which will be, let's say, 6 and 4. 6 and 4. So this is our next point. Now we draw a circle with point center B. That will be center B and radius, or a point on the circle A. Now if our circle is now C. We've seen it there. Now what we do is we construct a line to the point B and A. We've constructed a line to the point B and A. Then we will construct or get a point beside the point B on the same line. So another point, so I'm going for the point 8 on the x-axis and then 4 on the y-axis. So it's on the same, it's on the line. We construct another circle with point, center being B and C being the point on the circumference. Now our new circle is D. What we'll do is we construct another point on the same line, but in the circle D. So another point in the same line, but beside, on the left side of B. So we'll do that point 5 on the x-axis and 5 for the x-axis, 4 on the y-axis. So you can see that the point is on the line F. Now we construct another circle with point. The point at the center is C, then D is a point on the circumference. Now the reason why we are doing this is to bisect this small circle D. We want to bisect that circle. So if you bisect this circle, we also be bisecting the bigger circle. You also be bisecting the bigger circle because the two circles have the same center. So it has the same center. And what we'll do is that we'll look for the intersection of the line F and the circle D. Now we've done it. So you can see with this F. So we have this point E here. So now with the point E, what we do is that we construct another circle. With this time point and segment, with the center being E, and the segment being, so the circle is supposed to be the same radius with the circle E. So then the segment will be DC. So this is the same thing. Now we look for the intersection. The intersection between them, between the objects. Sorry. Intersection between circle G and E. We also have. Now we have 2 points G, capital G and capital H there. Construct a line to G capital G, and then to pass through H. And we've bisected it. So we look for another intersection of the line H that we've gotten new, and the first circle C. We've gotten it. So now we construct a right angle triangle using these 3 points, I, B, and C. So first I'll do a segment with point I, and A. So this is my first triangle, So now I'll do the polygon, then list of points I, A, B. So now GeoGebra recognizes my triangle as a polygon. What I'll now do is deactivate these circles and lines inside. Deactivate all of them. Deactivate everything. So now we have our triangle. And I have to know if this is a right angle triangle. I'm measuring the angle at B. So the angle at B. Or I'll just measure all the angles. I'll just measure all the angles in the triangle. So the triangle is T1. So I'm measuring T1. Sorry. So I'll measure all the angles in the triangle. So I'll be doing them one by one. So angle. I'll be doing them one by one. So the first angle is B. The first angle I want to measure is A, B, I, which you can see to be 90 degrees. The next angle I'll be measuring. The next angle I'll be measuring is A, I, sorry. Next angle I'll be measuring is B, I, A. I've measured the angle, we've gotten 45. Next angle I'll be measuring is I, A, B. Gotten 45 degrees. So now we can see that even here, where the algebra section is, the A and the I subscript 1 have the same length, 4, 4. So we can see that this triangle is an isosceles triangle, although it's also a right angle triangle. We've killed two birds with one stone, constructed an isosceles triangle, and also a right angle triangle. Now let me deactivate these angles and let's start constructing or start proving for the Pythagoras theorem. So first, I'll get a polygon, then I'll do A, I, sorry, it should be I, A, 4. So now we can see that we have a square here. We have a square here. Now we do the same thing also with the one at the bottom. So we do polygon, list of points, points, A, B, then 4. The reason why I'm bringing 4 is that we want a polygon at A and B, and we want the vertices to be 4. That is why we are doing that. And again, we do the same thing with the one on our left. So polygon and list of points B, I, 4. So now we have this. We have these 4 angles. So now what I'll do is I'll go to my options. labeling. And I'll go no new objects to help with the visibility of it so that the labeling will not be too much across the board. So now what I'll do is I'll construct a line through point O first and point B. This is my first line. I'll get another line through point P and I. These are the two lines I have. Now I'll look for their intersection. The intersection of the two lines. So the intersection of the two lines, the first line is line H subscript 1. And the second line is line J subscript 1. These are the two lines you have. And their intersection is giving me Q. It's giving me Q. So here I'll go and I'll do show label so that the Q will come. Now we can see our Q over here. What I'll do is I'll just deactivate the lines for us to see our Q. And now what I want to do is I want to get this square. I want to get four triangles. So one here, one here, one here, 4 triangles in a square. Now I'll use my polygon to list of points. So the first one I'll be doing is Q, capital Q, O, Q, comma, O, comma, I, comma, I. This is the first one I've done. Now I'll do another one again. Polygon, list of points. Q, comma, I, comma, B. This is the next one I have. I'll do another one again. Polygon, list of points. Q, comma, P, comma, P. Then I'll do my last one. List of points. I'll do Q, comma, P, comma, O. This is the last one I have. Now, what I'll be doing is I'll be inserting a slider. So you can see I'll be inserting a slider. So I'll put the slider over this side. Now I'll name my slider. Let me name my slider K. So I've named my slider K. Then what I'll do is I'll change the minimum here on the slider to 0. And then the maximum to 1. Then the increment will be 0.01. That will be the increment. Okay. Now I have my slider over here. So the next thing I want to do is to connect my slider to this square here I have. And what I'll do is the center of that square on my left, Q, plus the slider, which is K. Then a bracket with, I'll do I, or I'll do L minus Q. Then I'll do L minus Q. So then I can see that this point, just the point on the big thing where I'm showing you, there's a new point over there, which is R. So this R point is over here, but because I turned off no new labeling, you cannot see the R point over here. Now what we'll do is you'll create a vector. That starts from the center of the square on our left, which is Q. And the new point we got, R. Now we can see. So we've connected a slider to it. So when we move the slider, the vector also moves to the point. The vector also moves to the point. This is what we have. Now, what we will do is we would want to move the square, or sorry, the triangle in this square on our left, what I'm showing you right now. We want to move this triangle to this place. Okay, I want to move it to this place. Now, what we do is we'll first translate it. So you translate the object. Now first you have to check which object is it. Is it T1, T2, T3, or T4, T5? So I'm checking if it's here, so now it is T4. The way how I'm seeing it that is T4 is I deactivate the triangle T4 to see, and it has been deactivated. When I activate it back, it's there. So I can see that it is T4. So my object would be T4, T4. Then the vector that I got, the vector, you can see it here, where the mouse is showing you, which is U. So my vector is U, U, I'll type in my U. You can see that it has something that's moved over here. We have something new over here. Then we go to object properties. Object properties, then we color it. Go to object properties, then color it. Minute there. So now we have our object property over here, color. We change, let's say we use the color red and increase the opacity. This is the first thing we've done. So now when we move our slider, you can see that the triangle is moving. This is what we have. When we move our slider, the triangle is also moving. Okay. So now we will just repeat the same process for the rest of the triangles. So now let's do the triangle here, where the mouse is showing, the triangle here, the bottom of the big square. Same procedure. We connect the slider to it. So we do a kill, then kill plus K, which is the slider, kill plus K, then bracket open. Because I'm moving it to the bottom, I'll use the point at A, then minus Q. This is what we have. So now we have a new point at A. You can see that now when I enter the thing, the A has been highlighted. So there's a new point at A, but because there's no new labeling, the S is the new point there, 10, 4. You can see 10, 4. So that is the new point at A. Now we have a vector. You create a vector where the start point is Q and the end point is the new point, which is S. This is what we have. This is what we have. So now what I'll do, I'm turning off the vector for the first one that we did, so that our work will not be too clumsy. I'll just turn off the vector for the first one that we did. Now we have a new vector, which is V. We translate again. We translate object and vector. So we are translating the object at the top. So the object at the top, T2 with vector V. You can see we've translated the object. Now we just change the coloring. Just change the color. This is what we have. We change the color to green. Is the opacity. Now this is what we have. Do the same thing for the rest. So now what we do is now we will do the same thing again. We'll connect the slider to another point. Let me just deactivate the vector over here to make our work less clumsy. So the point Q plus our vector K, bracket open. Now I I minus q. You can see you have a new point at I here, which is t. Now we do the vector with starting point q, and then the new point t, which is our end point. We have our vector over here. Now we translate the vector in the point. So the object is, so our object now is t2, and our vector is the new vector that was formed, w. Sorry, a minute. Let me check. So I think I made a mistake with the polygon. It was not T2. It's the polygon over this side where the so let me see. It's rather T3, sorry. The polygon should be T3 rather. The polygon should be T3 rather. So we translate object and vector. So the object is T3 and the vector is W. Yes. So now we can see a new triangle over there. We change the color. I'm changing it to yellow, increase the opacity. So this is what we have. Now we can, when we do the slider, you can see. Yes, this is what we have. Thank you. This is what we have. We do the things for the last triangle there. Again, you are Q plus our K, bracket open. Now the point here, which is K subscript 1, that's what we'll be using. Sorry. We'll be using the point which is K subscript 1. So we input the things again, our Q plus our K into bracket our K subscript 1 minus our Q. There's a new point at K1. So I'm saying, so that new point is U now. So we do a vector starting from Q going to the new point U. You can see the vector right now going. So let me deactivate the old vector there. Our new vector is U subscript 1. So with this new vector, we can now translate the object. Let me see if it is the object, which is T5. Sorry. T5 with the vector U subscript 1. Yes, we've seen it now. We've been able to do it. Change the color. Let's change it orange. Now this is what we have for it. You can see that now all the triangles are moving to the big square on our right. This is what we have. Now the next thing we want to do is to move the square below also to the middle space over here. So what we do to move this square below is to connect this point J to the slider. But first, we have to construct a circle. So now to construct the circle has to pass through this point. Where the green triangle is, the point there, the circle has to pass through these points. So the circle with point and radius number. So the circle should be at A, capital A. A is here. This is A is here. At A, circle is at A with radius number. So with this, the radius number will be 2.8. for it to pass through the circle. The radius number will be 2.8. This is what we have. Now you have to find the intersection of this circle and the line B. So this is the line B. This is B over here. This is B over here. This is B. So this line is B. So we find the intersection between the line B and the circle C subscript 1. So we found the intersection. There's a new point here, V. Now we will now connect it to the slider. So we will have J plus K into bracket. The new point we had V minus J again. This is what we have. So now we have another new point on the V point, which is now W. We do a vector with a new point. Vector, where our starting point will be J and our end point will be the new in W. Let me deactivate this vector. So now you can see a new vector, which is V1. So what we now do is we now translate the square over here. So now we go to our algebra sheet to see the square, which square it is. Is it? So we start deactivating and activating. You see, it is not the T1. So it can be it. So let me check the poly 2. So we can see that the square is poly 2. The square is poly 2. The square is poly 2. We type our poly 2 with our vector V subscript 1. I enter it. This is what I have. Now I color it. Let me color it black so that it look like the Ghana flag. I've colored it black for it to look like the Ghana flag in a way. This is what we have now. So now we've solved it. What I do now is I deactivate some things. I deactivate this. I deactivate the circle also. Now this is what we have. Now the explanation which goes into this is that the square of the opposite, which is where the square here, the opposite square, this is the opposite square, plus the adjacent, which is this square, which is the black square over here. So the black square plus this square, the color square, should give you the big square. Now we can see that it is giving us the big square. Giving us the big square. Giving us the big square. So now we've proven for the Pythagoras theorem. Thank you, students. See you in our next class. Thank you.